morning, everyone. Welcome to the channel. It's Saturday, April 15th. It's opening morning of shotgun turkey season in Nebraska. I parked up on the hill, got here last night about maybe 15 minutes before dark. It was like 35 mile an hour winds, so I didn't hear any birds fly up or gobble when they flew up. So I parked up on the hill. I'm gonna head over these two ridges and drop down into the bottom of the draw. It's supposed to be really windy this morning. There's a chance of some light rain and snow moving in. But I'm hoping that if those birds are roosted in the same spot they were last weekend, that we can get into that ground blind that we cut in. Maybe get a little early morning turkey hunting done before the rain rolls in. So I'm gonna pack everything up and head over the ridge and see what happens. Okay, everyone, we got snuck into our little ground blind this morning. The birds actually aren't gobbling in the creek bottom down here where they roosted last weekend. They're actually gobbling about maybe 150 or 200 yards up the draw. Sounds like they're down in the bottom of the draw, probably trying to stay out of the wind. I'm not going to set up any decoys or anything. I'm just going to hold here and listen, wait for them to fly down, see if they're going to go north or south. South would be toward us, north would be away from us. But they're actually up on the neighbor's property right now, so I'm going to see which direction they're going to go, and then we'll make a decision what we're going to do from there. If we need to go to a different part of the farm, try and find a different bird, or just sit and be patient here and see if they come to us. So just gonna try and make a good decision. So looks like the rain's gonna hold off and give us a chance to hunt this morning, so we'll see what happens.
I wasn't positive, but I thought I heard the birds fly down toward me when they left the trees, so I snuck out and set up a couple decoys just in case. I also wanted to do a little bit of calling to see if I could call in a tom. I was actually really surprised that the toms came out of the draw as quick as they did this morning. They, about 5 minutes or so after they flew down, I heard them gobble maybe 100 yards away from me. A couple minutes later, I heard them gobble maybe 50 or 40 yards away from me. I think they were actually out in that opening that we hunted the previous weekend. What they actually did was come up around the backside of the brush pile that we piled up the previous weekend. So I turned everything around thinking they were going to come out in that opening that we cleared out. Got myself turned around, got the camera turned around, and they got about maybe 10 yards away from me on the opposite side of the cedar tree and decided that they were going to go the other way around the brush pile. So I actually had to get everything turned back around to the way I was originally facing, which just happens sometimes when you're hunting. So they came in really quick to the decoys when they came in. After I could see the turkeys go around the bottom of the brush pile, they were actually on the backside of the ridge, so I had just a couple seconds to get the camera turned around, myself and the shotgun turned around before they were going to come into the decoys. So things got a little hectic, but got everything turned around and got ready to go. At this point, I had just shot the bird. I was emptying out the extra shells out of the shotgun to be safe before I went out to film everything else that I wanted to film.
Hey everyone. It's about 7:15 on the opening morning of shotgun turkey season. I wanted to give everybody kind of an update of what happened this morning. I did the same thing I did last weekend, parked out on the road, hiked over the 2 ridges, came down the fence line this morning, and when I got to the cedar tree that I hunted in last weekend, I actually cut behind it and got into this little ground blind that I cleared out. Last weekend there was brush piled up all inside these little cedar trees, and then there was a bunch of brush piled up inside in between these other 2 cedar trees also. So I took all of that dead cedar tree brush and added it to the pile here. I'm sure we'll burn it out sometime in the future. We actually got a little lucky this morning. The rain held off. Looks like it might start around lunch or something instead. But when I was crossing the ridges up there, I heard the turkeys gobble in the bottom of this draw, maybe 150 yards up the draw. They did not roost down in this creek bottom this morning. Where the cedar trees start right here is actually the fence between our property and the neighbor's property. So I just was going to be patient, listen to see if they came closer to me or started working farther away from me, and then I was going to make a decision what to do from there. It sounded like they flew down into the bottom of the draw a little closer to me, so I actually got out of the ground blind, came over and set up 2 decoys. I tried to use this same setup that I used last weekend. It's just a hen decoy all the way down on the ground with the Jake standing over the top of her. I called just a little bit on my slate call. It sounded like 1 or 2 of the birds, I couldn't really tell at the time, were working their way up the bottom of the draw closer to me. So I called just a little bit more. I think they actually gobbled right there. I was actually sitting in that corner. I was sitting right here in this corner where the little chair is, kind of between the brush pile and the cedar tree. I'm not exactly positive, but I think they came out of the draw in this little clearing that we set up last weekend. I couldn't really see through the brush pile. I could hear them drumming behind me and getting closer. So I had the camera on a tripod right here, and I switched it to the other side, thinking that they might actually go past that clearing right there. So I flipped everything around the other way to face the other way. The birds got to about right here, and maybe 15 yards away from where I was on the other side of the cedar tree, and didn't see the hen that was calling to them, I think, is what happened. So they decided to turn and go back around the brush pile. When they did that, I could hear them drumming still and getting a little further away. Then they gobbled kind of right down at the bottom of the brush pile, so I knew they had moved down, and I figured they were going to try and come back around the other side. So I grabbed the tripod and tried to move it. Actually moved the tripod to about right here. Then I was just laying down on the ground right there, got the tripod and the shotgun and everything turned around. And the birds actually came up right here. When I set the decoys up, I set them up on this side of the ridge just a little bit, just figuring that if any bird was on the backside of that ridge, he would actually have to crest the ridge to see the decoys, that he would want to get up on the highest spot. So I was kind of using the terrain against them, so they couldn't really see me until they were within shooting range. I was using that little bit of that drop off on that ridge to make them come over the ridge to see the decoys, so they would actually be in shooting range as soon as they crested the ridge. I didn't shoot it with a rangefinder, but I'm guessing it's under 25 yards from the little ground blind that we built. It's probably 18 yards to the decoys and 25 yards to the crest of the ridge. So just wanted to share that tip. A lot of people go throw decoys out in the open and they wonder sometimes why the birds hang up. But if you can actually get your decoys in a spot where they have to come to a certain spot to be able to see them, it actually, in my opinion, that helps me be more successful. Like, just being a little picky about where I set the decoys. The way things happened this morning, if I would have snuck in here and put the decoys out in this clearing that I was thinking about doing, I was thinking about sneaking around these cedar trees in the dark and setting the decoys either right there in the clearing or right here in the clearing to try and get birds to come up out of the draw through this little shooting hole in the ground blind to get to the decoys actually a little bit behind me up here somewhere. So that's also a trick that I use with the decoys sometimes, like set them, then sneak a little closer to the birds, so the birds actually have to go past me to get to the decoys. But just wanted to share with everybody what happened. I shot a decent tom this morning with the shotgun at about 18 yards, and I'm gonna put the camera on the tripod and I'll show you the bird.
Hey everyone, here's a look at the tom that we shot with the shotgun this morning. It's I think like a maybe 3-year-old, 2.5 or 3-year-old bird. It's actually got a pretty dark colored fan for the birds up here. The rest of the birds up here have really white feather tips, so this is a little closer to an eastern than a hybrid. But it's got about, I don't know, 1.25 inch spurs on it, about a 10-inch beard. It's actually starting to rain now. It's about 7:45 and it's supposed to rain pretty much all day, be windy all day, so probably gonna get this bird back to the house, get it processed up. There's a guy at work that has a big family, wants to try some wild turkey meat, so I told him that if I shot a bird this year that I would process it up for him and package it up and deliver it to him at work. So I'm gonna shoot him a text and let him know that he's got some free meat coming, and just excited that we got a chance to go hunting this morning, and everything happened really fast. There wasn't really a ton of time to take footage. Sometimes it happens like that. The birds just turn around, gobble a couple times, and come straight in. Sometimes they take all day and never get within 100 yards of you. And so just enjoy the successes and the failures and the adventure of it.